first one, Matt, you're up first, and but top of the list is Android, I guess, permissions issue. Is that correct?
It kind of is and it kind of isn't, Brian. So a German security group called CureSec was doing a code audit of Android. It seems that they found a particular portion of the code that actually allows you to bypass some of the restrictions you would expect. So if you're familiar with the Android security model, applications have to request permissions in order to use certain functions, you know, making phone calls, making in-app purchases, you know, taking photos, things like that. Seems they found a particular class within the Android phone capabilities that actually overshares a little bit, is the way to say it. There's a couple of different actions which it allows you to take without actually registering, because what's happening is they're actually exporting it. So they're in the code for Android, you can sort of share functions to other applications, and that's what's happening here. And it's kind of interesting, in fact, that when they did the code audit, they looked at the source code, and whoever the developer was had said explicitly, you know, this is supposed to be visible, it's not supposed to be exported.
Right.
But unfortunately, whoever set it up exported those. So these functions are available. The upshot of this is that you can make, within Android, an application can reach out and make, for example, phone calls to any number at all, and this includes certain special function numbers that are used by, you know, carrier communications, things like that. But probably the most likely use of it is going to be calling like 900 numbers and other charge numbers to make a lot of money.
Yeah. So this is more of it's not malware that's been discovered. It's really just a vulnerability associated with the devices, or at least perceived as a vulnerability, granting access to features that you wouldn't really expect it to allow.
Right, it bypasses the expectations of the Android security model.
I think perhaps the discovery here is one of the merits of an open source platform, is that this organization had the opportunity to do a code review and were able to identify this perhaps before it was abused. Now, that's always the sort of the catch-22 here. You're kind of racing with the malicious actors to hopefully find the vulnerabilities, initiate some kind of a correction before the malicious actors do that. And
in the case of Android, you have the issue that not all carriers will patch at the same time.
Right.
So this may be in the wild for a while.
Right.
It should be pointed out that this is patched in the latest version of the Android OS, but there are an awful lot of devices out there that are not running 4.4.4.
Right.
And this vulnerability existed up through 4.4.2. So yeah, there are likely to be, unfortunately, a lot of vulnerable devices for a while.
Okay, and obviously we want to encourage patching devices as quickly as possible for exactly that reason, right?
Exactly. As soon as the patch becomes available for your device, you want to make sure that you get this one applied.
On the whole open source angle, I think if Stan was here, he would agree that it's a lot easier to find vulnerabilities in code when you have the source, as opposed to reverse engineering, you know, from a binary executable type of thing. So while it is good that open source, you got more eyes on it, it's also not so great because you got more eyes on it that are going to have potential to find a vulnerability or exploit it, whereas there's going to be less eyes on something that's compiled.
Yeah. Well, I think the hope is and the open source philosophy is you have more good eyes than bad eyes. And that is controversial. There is some question about the level of motivation to find vulnerabilities as a user. You know, the good folks, perhaps it's the ones with malicious intent that are more motivated to go and look for those vulnerabilities. And so that still is a challenge. Now, I think the bug bounty programs are a good incentive for organizations to get involved in this. They're actually folks that have made a career out of researching vulnerabilities, exposing those, and getting rewarded for that. And I think that kind of theme is a good direction to go here.